sound. Happy 500. Well, I just saw on my YouTube channel some time ago that I had actually uploaded 499 videos. I think I actually have uploaded a couple of more, but that they have been either, well, removed for some copyright reason, or maybe that I removed them. I can't remember everything now. Still, at this moment when I record this, I have 499 videos in my YouTube channel, and I have over 500 subscribers. That's quite good. Actually, I'm not sure about the exact number. I'm going to have a look right now while I'm talking here, if I can find it. 78 RPM blog that I started in February 2010. That's 3.5 years ago now. And let's see, I have 548 subscribers. I have 424,358 views. That's quite good. That's quite good, I have to say that. I didn't expect that at all. And, well, I certainly didn't expect that I would have make around 500 videos. Last couple of years, lots of videos with me mainly talking and showing records. The early years, I uploaded a lot of 78 RPMs, and I plan to go on doing that because it's about sharing music that isn't that easy to get a hold of, and to make sure it doesn't really is forgotten or just going down in a big flood of obscurity. I'm going to start this video by going back to the theme of this, the original theme of this channel, namely 78 RPMs, and then I'm going to show you a nice bunch of Durium, or as they are known in America, Hit of the Week records. They aren't complete because they're supposed to have a sleeve with text or, well, all the lyrics, but I bought this from a gentleman, seller that I know in Stockholm, and I paid quite a small sum for this very interesting bunch of old, well, it's like cardboard but with a special kind of plastic called Durium on where the actual recordings are made, and many of these have 2 numbers on them and a blank backside. To make sure I can play these on the Lenco up here, I have to use some sort of record clamp, and I went to the city yesterday and got a record clamp, but I can't really use any clamp because I have a Lenco L78 up there, and you can't really have something very heavy on top of it because it can be very harmful for your record player. So I bought this. It's Souther Clever Clamp. It's an American clamp of the Souther Engineering Corporation. Yeah, and I bought it, and it works perfectly well, but we have some problems. When I started transferring these records, that I'm going to upload some of them in this channel later, but we have some problems here because when the pickup is going to or play the inner grooves here, the edge of the clamp is in the way. But it's perfect when I want to record the outer track, because in other ways the record would often become warped, and the needle would have problems tracking properly. So then when I am transferring the inner track, I often have to remove this, but then it isn't as jumpy for the needle. So what do we have here? Well, first of all, we have Dream Sweetheart and Soft Light and Sweet Music by Morton Downey and Orchestra. And it's quite funny because on the so-called, well, it doesn't have a label, it's printed on the actual record material, but what we would call the label area, we don't have it, it doesn't say Hit of the Week here. It just says record manufactured by Durium Products Incorporated, New York. So I don't know if it's a really early one or a really late one, but I haven't started researching about them yet. But I know that they were available in the early 30s, and they were available in Sweden as well, but and in many European countries. Then they were called, well, Durium or Super Durium, stuff like that. But I'm sure that I will find out a lot of these records online, because I know that there are collectors of these that has made lots of their material available for the rest of us. And here's well, this is an European variation. It's a German. Durium, Irgendwo auf der Welt and Einmal schafft jeder by Durium Dance Orchestra. And what orchestra that is, I can't really say right now. I had this one before, so this is in slightly better conditions. Then we have Ben Pollock's orchestra, Crying for the Carolines, and this is with only one track. And even though it doesn't say hit of the week here, you can, I don't know if you can see it on the cam, but you can see that the text is supposed to be here, hit of the week. So maybe it's some pressing error, or maybe, but I've played this and transferred it, and it sounds good. Helps a lot with this record clamp. Some of the records I can transfer at 78 RPM, some I transfer at a lower speed, and then I speed it up on the computer to make some sort of MP3 out of it. We have here Phil Spitalny's music, Paradise and Love You Funny Thing. Here you can see that it doesn't say hit of the week, but I can see when I watch it like this that this is supposed to be a written hit of the week. I can see the traces of the letters where the letters are supposed to be. And this, well, it only says hit, but this is supposed to be of the week here as well. And this is Erno Rapice Orchestra featuring Paul Small, Save the Last Dance for Me. Very familiar tune. And Ida. So it's a shorter track here with two tracks. Alright, another one here. Sweetheart of My Student Days. Hit of the Week Orchestra, Bert Hirsch, director. And Dick Robertson's Orchestra, By the River St. Marie. I think these are cool, and often they have a very good sound, although it's cardboard with the thin plastic material covering it, so they often sound much better than you can imagine, as long as it's not too warped or bent or destroyed. So but with the record clamp it helps really playing these records, even though these aren't very warped. These are in good condition. Here we have Sam Lanin's dance ensemble, By My Side. Foxtrots. I like foxtrots from the 20s and 30s, and not just Americans, but European as well. Especially German orchestras, because I've been reading and researching quite a lot about the Weimar Republic and the lovely culture in Berlin before that man with a mustache took over and ruined it all. So, well, here we have another Sam Lanin orchestra, Pardon Me Pretty Baby. Some of these only have one track on them and some have two. Here we have the full label, Hit of the Week. When the Moon Comes Over the Mountain by Sam Lanin's Dance Ensemble. Is it Lanin or is it Lanin? I'm not sure. Then we have Come to Me by Scrappy Lambert's Collegians. Scrappy Lambert sounds very familiar. I think he was a singer on some famous jazz recordings in the 30s. Well, I can't really remember now, but I'll check it out. Here's another hit of the week with a bit of a label variation. Lord, you made the night too long, and Sharing. Andy Sanella with his orchestra, vocal by Ralph Kirby. Right, and here's Time on My Hands by short Jingle Bells with Phil Spitalny's music. Oops, sorry. Then we have I Apologize and Fight for California with Phil Spitalny's orchestra. These are very rare to find in Sweden, these American Hit of the Weeks records. And this is one of the best one, I think. Rudy Valley, still today famous legendary singer. Was That the Human Thing to Do? With Rudy Valley and his Connecticut Yankees. And this is a bit special because you have a portrait of Rudy Valley on the back here. Very nice. These I paid for, and then the seller threw in 3 more records and he said, I'm not sure, these are a bit well, they are not perfect. They have some bending and so on, and some nasty scratches, so they may not be able to play that good, but I'm going to try and at least transfer them. But it was nice to throw these in as a bonus. This is a Swedish Durium, Super Durium. The Swedish singer Carl Möller, he played the lute, which was kind of a Swedish lute, the Bellman's lute, like a sister. And he plays 2 old Swedish songs, På blomsterklädd kulle and Kors på Idas grav. They are called skillingtryck. Those of you in Sweden may have heard that before. Then we have another hit of the week, I'm Through with Love with Don Voorhees Orchestra. This has a quite nasty scratch here that might make it a bit problematic to play, but we're going to test it later. And there's another Rudy Valley. You Try Somebody Else, Rudy Valley and his Connecticut Yankees. Also this with a portrait. But this has also some nasty scratches that may make this record a bit hard to play. But I'm going to check. Maybe I can transfer it at a very low speed and then speed it up electrically, so I'll be able to enjoy them later in that way. So that was lots of 78 RPMs. So thanks for those of you who aren't interested in 78 RPMs. Well done for pulling that through. Now some new vinyls. These are some quite cheap ones that I don't know if I'll keep them or not, but I thought they looked a bit interesting. It's Speedy Keen, You Know What I Mean, on Island from 1975, I think. Yeah. The great underrated singer Sarah Jane Morris, record with her with the same name. We have, among other songs here, She's Leaving Home. She's made a very nice version of the Beatles' She's Leaving Home. This was issued on Jive in 1988. Then I love these Melodias, and this is the same series that has issued lots of other good European pop music. I'm sure you recognize the album design style that has been the same on all these, but with different colors. This is the second issue in the series, as you can see. It's Steve Wonder's Sunshine on My Life, and it isn't that based on the early 70s stuff. It's more late 60s and early 70s, but with more half 60s. One of the sides is 1960s and the other is the 1970s, so that's quite good. I wonder how many I've got of these now. Okay, I have 2 records with a slightly forgotten prog-ish English band, Bebop Deluxe. This is Drastic Plastic. It's on Harvest. The sleeve is a bit worn, but the record is fine. And then we have a compilation double album, The Best and the Rest of Bebop Deluxe, from 1979, I think, also on Harvest. Then I found this one and I showed it in the Facebook page. I was so amazed when I saw that this had been released on vinyl, because I bought this when it was new on CD back in 1994, and it was one of my favorite albums for many years. I've listened to this lots of times, and I'm so happy now when I have more or less left the CDs to find it on double vinyl. It's Music on Vinyl that has issued this on 180 gram audiophile vinyl. It's Elvis Costello and Brutal Youth. And well, it's the Attractions, or the members of the Attractions, who are accompanying him on this very nice album. It's less many of the records he made in the late 80s and early 90s, despite I like them very much, but they were a bit over the top when it comes to arrangements and orchestration, a bit too much orchestration, and I think they were produced by Mitchell Froom as well. But this is produced by Mitchell Froom, and we have Nick Lau playing on this as well. But I think it's a very good album. Many of the songs on this are among my favorites. Especially where is it? London's Brilliant Parade. Yeah, You Tripped at Every Step. Still Too Soon to Know. Pony Street. 13 Steps Lead Down. Yeah, like it. Great that it's available on LP, and I hope more of Elvis Costello's material from the 90s is issued there. Right, over to a bootleg that I hadn't seen before. I'm not really a collector of bootlegs, but I found this and I thought, well, why not? Pogues, Pogue My Thorns, and it's an Irish bootleg. It's live in Essen in Germany, 27th of November 1988. I've listened to it, and it is, well, it's a quite bad recording. It's not, I mean, it's nothing I would listen to a lot of times. Badly recorded with some sort of cheap tape recorder, I guess, and the sound isn't good at all. Still, they made lots of good music, and now one of their great members, Phil Chevron, has passed away some week ago. He wrote the best Pogue songs my favorite Pogue song was written by him, Thousands Are Sailing. Yeah. Then over to a quite odd Swedish record about it's a documentary, actually. It's on a 10-inch LP from Philips. It's the world champion boxing fight between the Swedish boxer Ingemar Johansson, Ingo as he's called, and Floyd Patterson. And this wasn't, you might think that this is a recording taken from the Swedish radio, but Swedish radio did not want to transmit any professional boxing. They thought it was a pugilistic sport for Huns. But then Radio Luxembourg, together with Philips, they sent a man down, Lars-Henrik Ottosson, to actually take the audience through the fight by commentating, and the whole fight is on page 1, and the introduce after the fight is on the other page. And Ingemar Johansson became a great hero, maybe one of the greatest heroes of the late 50s in Sweden, because, well, of course, he's the only Swedish boxer that has won a world championship game. Of course, Floyd Patterson beat and took back the belt from Ingemar Johansson shortly afterwards, but that doesn't take away this great victory for him. And this is a quite odd Philips issue, of course, from 1959. Philips knew that, okay, we can earn some money on this. And I'm interested in sports vinyl, or vinyl with some sort of sport connection. Okay. Then we have St. Louis Town, 1927 to 1933. This is a compilation on Yazoo with some early blues. We got Henry Spalding, Charlie Jordan, Jim Jackson, Joe Stone, among others. And these Yazoo issues are almost always of greatest interest to those who are interested in early folk and early blues from America. Also, jug bands are an important part of the history in the late 20s, early 30s, and here we have a very nice compilation on the Origin Jazz Library. We have, well, maybe the most famous one, Gus Cannon and his Jug Stompers, and we have Memphis Minnie, and we have Birmingham Jug Band, Whistler and his Jug Band, and Memphis Jug Band, Dixieland Jug Blowers, and of course to find these original 78s, that's almost impossible. I would probably cost well lots of money. So I'm very happy about these reissues from the, I think this is from maybe the late 60s or maybe early 70s. It's on Origin Jazz Library, which was a record label based in Berkeley, California. Okay, then over to a record that, well, I already have all the material on it, but it's such a good compilation disc. I felt I needed this as well. Bought it on CD back then when I started to get interested in this group. Talk about Queen, and this is the first greatest hits album from 1981 on EMI. Right, another interesting compilation with the old jazz and blues numbers. We have If Beale Street Could Talk, a selection of pre-war Memphis blues favorites, 1928 to 1929, on the Magnolia label. It's well, Kansas Joe and Memphis Minnie, Memphis Jug Band, Beale Street Rounders, Jack Kelly, Kid Cole, among many others. Okay. Yeah. Then we have another compilation with ragtime music on the guitar, but the recordings are from the 60s and the 70s mainly. But it's a Picture Rags, a selection of ragtime music played on the guitar by, well, Reverend Gary Davis, Stephen Grossman, Ralph McTell, among others, and it's on the Transatlantic label, which is a label that I find very interesting. Then we have this Jethro Tull. It's a BBC transcription disc from 1984, and they had the right to use the material, BBC, up until 1989, and I guess they weren't that legal to own, but I don't know how it is today. I bought it in the regular record store, so I guess it's okay. In Concert, Jethro Tull, and this is what it looks like. I haven't heard any of these before because I rarely find any with musical content that I am that interested in, and of course they are very rare to find. Okay, second to last album I'm going to show you is the second album of the Dutch prog group Trace with Rick van der Linden of Exception fame. I've got their first album before, and this is their second. It's on Philips. Has a bit of sleeve damage here, but the record is in good condition, and it's from 1975. Yeah. And the final one, I haven't listened to this yet, and I don't know if I'll think that it's brilliant or complete rubbish, but I bought it because I can't really figure out how this would sound. It's Gatsby's Word turned on Joplin, Chris Stone at the Moog from 1974. It's it's ragtime music play on the early synthesizer, and that, I mean, well, Walter Carlos did it with classical music and it turned out quite well. This may be as cheesy as it can get, but still, I really had to try this. I haven't listened to it yet, but I will. And also, the sleeve is wonderful, like this so-called Gatsby party orgy scene, created as if the police just broke in to arrest them all. Yeah, great fun. Anyway, that was number 500, and I hope to start sharing some of these Hit of the Week recordings later when I have more time for it. Time is very precious at the moment, so I'm happy I could be able to see you again. Bye for now.